I've prepared several samples that are the same volume, and you want to teach your students several ways to prepare their samples once they are pipetted into the same tube. You want to teach your students to flick the samples to help mix them. However, you can now see that there's lots of sample up on the sides of the tube, and so we need to get that down into the rest of the sample. And there's a couple different ways of doing that. One is flicking them in your hand like this, with just a gentle flicking motion like this, okay, which in most cases will be effective. However, I do still have some sample here up on the tubes. So I'm going to introduce you to a handy little tool called the mini centrifuge or the micro centrifuge. Okay. So, and this is just a small centrifuge that only holds 6 tubes of micro centrifuge tube size. You want to make sure, for safety, that you always have 2 tubes that are exactly the same volume directly across the street from one another. Okay. A really great tip to teach your students is to make sure that they always face their hinges in the same direction. And so we like to face our hinges out, away from the center of the rotor, and then that way, if everybody always loads in the same time, no matter what type of centrifuging you're doing, you'll always get the same results. Now you just want to do what's called a quick spin. Turn this on, count to about 2, 1, 2, turn it off. Always wait for the rotor to stop completely before opening. And now when you look at our tubes, you can see there are no bubbles or droplets of any of the sample at the top. So the mini centrifuge is an effective way to pool your sample. It also will help to mix it if a student is ineffective at mixing the sample with their fingers. Okay. I'd like to show you one centrifuge don't, just so you know. You can see here I have 2 samples of very obviously different volumes. And so if your students load these, okay, I'm still going to load them across the street from each other. However, you're going to hear a difference in the centrifuge. And so this is something that I train my students for. When they hear this sound, they know that somebody's using the centrifuge wrong. Okay. And it just sounds louder. Now, if I had a significantly different volume, for example, I'm going to put one of these in there, and so now it's definitely out of balance. You should hear an even louder sound. Okay, that is definitely a centrifuge being used incorrectly.